And welcome back, students. We are going to start learning about CSS in proper format. So what I want to do is bring up our old notes here, and I'm going to go ahead and add in the slide here, and I'm going to put CSS. So with CSS, what that is a cascading style sheet, right? And that's what it stands for. So that's what CSS is. Now we've already done a little bit of CSS stuff here in our first index HTML video. Remember, I made this bit of CSS here for like background color, change the color header 1, header 2, all these different things in here that I was able to manipulate. Now, what I want to do though, right, if you notice this H2 doesn't have it because it has this class here, so let me just take that off there. What I want to do is I want to use a style sheet. Now, even though this is CSS, it's all what's known as an internal style sheet, which means it's inside the HTML document. What we want to do is create an external style sheet or a CSS file that's outside of the HTML document. So I'm going to go ahead and create a style sheet for index 2 because right now we have no CSS code for it, and just so you can see how that differs from how we do it with index.html. So I'm going to go over here, and there's two ways you can do it. You can open File, New, and then you can manually insert it. But there's actually an easier way to do that in Dreamweaver, which is just to come over here to the CSS Designer tab, click on the plus arrow here, and if you already have a CSS file, you can click Attach Existing. But since we do not, we're going to choose Create a New CSS file. And then in here, it says File URL. We're going to click on Browse. And I currently don't have any CSS files. If I go to my Cat2 folder, Design, you can see there's no CSS files in here. So I'm just going to call this CSS demo. When you guys do yours, you'll call it like CSS exercise 1, CSS exercise 2, etc. All right, let's go ahead and click on Save. And then you can see it's going to have the CSS demo.css in there. And then you just click OK. And you can see that it has now added this bit of code right here for me that says it's referencing the CSS demo sheet. So let's just do a file save all real quick. And you'll see right here I have this cat2 CSS demo. And right in here, there's nothing in here. All the rest of the stuff right here, don't worry about this. That's just from this iframe being embedded in here. So I really want to focus right here on this CSS demo.css. So I'm going to go ahead and do some CSS like what we've done before. So for example, if we look at our CSS code from here, I did a body color, I did some text colors, did some table properties. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to say body, and I want to make the background dash color, and I want to set that to this time. Let's make it, well, Alice Blue sounds good. And if we scroll up, you can see that it has changed a little bit. Let's also set the H1 color. This time, let's make it, how about aqua? That's a little hard to read, so we want to make it a little darker. Scroll down. Blue violet. There you go. And maybe I want my links to be stylized. So I'm going to stylize the A tag. And I'm going to say color. And let's make these about crimson. And you can see my links are now styled with the crimson. All right, so this is not much different than what we did here in our index 1. Index 1, the only difference is that this is inside of a document. This one is outside of the document, so it's linked in. Now, there's advantages and disadvantages to both ways. Okay. An internal style sheet, right? One of the biggest advantages is that it controls the CSS for that page directly. The disadvantage, though, is that if you want to put on more than one page, it doesn't do that. So disadvantage, and only control one page. Therefore, to copy it to multiple pages if you have a website, not just a page. Okay. The advantage of an external style sheet is that it controls the CSS for all pages that are linked to that file. Now, one of the big drawbacks is that it doesn't permit individual web page control. However, one thing to note is that regardless if you're using internal or external, you can go ahead and if you're using an external sheet, you still can create internal styling for an individual web page. So let me just really quick go ahead and show what that means. So I'm going to go back to Dreamweaver, and I'm going to go back to my index.html, and I want to link in that style sheet that I made for index 2. So I'm going to click on Add CSS Source. I'm going to choose to attach existing. I'll click on Browse, and here's my CSS demo. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to click OK. So now you can see that that has been linked in. So I'm going to go ahead and do File Save All. And you can see it has overwritten this style code here. Even if I come in here and change this to orange, for example, you can see that it does not overwrite that. Right? Now, if I move where this style is, so it's after the CSS that I linked in, you can see now this takes precedent. So if, generally speaking, when we are putting in a external style sheet, we can go ahead and we put the external style sheet first, and then we'll follow with any internal stuff, which gives us greater control over these individual pieces. So, for example, I may not want H1 to have the color red. I want it to have the color from the main style sheet, which I can do, and then I maybe want each page to have its own header color. I can do that. So you can do both, and you can see here if I look at index.html, I also now have the CSS demo.css here now. So it's really easy to go in and be able to attach an external style sheet and stuff like that. Now, one of the last things I want to show how to do real quick in here, if I go to this CSS demo, I'm just going to go ahead and make one for paragraph. Is I'm going to show you how to do text alignment. So to do a text alignment, all I have to do, if I try typing align, you can see that it gives me some suggestions. And if I look down here, text align shows up, and that's what I want. And so in here, I can choose how I want that text to be aligned. So for example, if I want my text to be aligned to the center, I can do that, and you can see that it now aligns my paragraph text to the center. All right, there's also ones for left align, right align, justify. All those different things that we're familiar with are available. So this is a kind of a quick, easy crash course one here. The only last thing I want to show you is commenting in CSS. Recall, I showed you how to do a comment in HTML, which was, if I go back to my source code, right here, my first comment. How we do it in HTML, though, is not the same as how we do it in CSS. So I want to do a comment here. So let's just comment for this link here. So to do a comment, it's /* and then I put whatever it is. So CSS for styling links. And I do */. That's it. That's all it is to doing a CSS comment. Personally, I find CSS comments a lot easier to remember than HTML comments, simply because there's a lot less pieces to remember, and this is a lot closer to how a lot of other programming languages will do commenting, so it's a lot easier to remember. So I'm just going to demonstrate with another one real quick, CSS for styling paragraph // and you can see that does it. Now you'll notice if I don't put that star in there, it will comment out everything after it, right? Just like when we did the HTML comment. So we always have to make sure that we close it out. All right, and that's going to kind of wrap it up for today, folks. So again, you're going to have a little exercise you're going to work on your own, and I will see you next time.